Chapter 31-31. The arrival of head of church. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fine, we'll take the 7-day offer. Since Gabriel had already agreed, Lyra also agreed. Gabriel was going to have to go inside the holy city to steal the staff and the Eye of Osiris. If he believed 7 days were enough, she needed to trust him. How considerate of you. Lambard chuckled in amusement. He glanced at Gabriel. You know, it's the first time I've seen Lyra change her mind after deciding something. Anyway, I suppose we are done with the deal here. I've fulfilled my part of the deal. All that's left is for you to fulfill your part of the deal. I sure do hope you succeed. Eye of Osiris is something I've wanted for a long time, but it's always stayed out of my reach. May I ask what's so special about the Eye of Osiris? I suppose it's also a Newman artifact, but what does it do? Why do you need it? Gabriel could see the eagerness in the eyes of Lambard to get that item, so much so that he was even willing to part with the ring of Apophis. It was as if the value of the Eye of Osiris was much more in the eyes of Lambard. Of course, it's a Newman artifact. It is a small crystal orb that is only a few inches wide. It was used by demigod Osiris. She kept it with him as long as she lived. The demigod Osiris was also the one who peeked into the past of Carrick and wrote it down in her journal, Lambard answered. The Eye of Osiris can help a person see through the past of another person, no matter who they might be. It also helps you see their darkest secrets. Moreover, I'm not sure how true it is, but it was said that demigod Osiris could also see the future to some extent. If the Eye of Osiris has that ability, then it'll be worth even more. Lambard had spent most of his life chasing after the literature of demigods and the Newman artifacts. He had managed to make a huge collection all because of that, yet he was missing a lot of Newmans. There were many he had his eyes on that he wanted, and one of those was the Eye of Osiris, which was kept in the holy city under high protection, right beside the ancient staff of darkness which belonged to the god of darkness. I even tried to send a few people to steal them, but they failed and ended up dying. Lambard let out a tired sigh, remembering about his past failure. Gabriel had heard from Lyra that Lambard was really powerful despite being a human. He was the reason this illegal city still wasn't burnt down to the ground. So why couldn't he get the artifact back? Why didn't you go there yourself to get it? Since the Holy Church of Light can't attack this place because of you, that must mean you're really strong despite being a human. Can't you steal that with that strength of yours? Hearing Gabriel, Lambard blankly stared at him for a moment before bursting into a hearty laughter, ha ha ha. You think I'm stronger than the Holy Church? You would be wrong if you believe that. Although it's true that there are some instances when I can face them, but that's only when certain conditions are met, and one of them is being in this city. He further explained, the reason they don't attack me here is that this city protects me. This entire city is also a Newman artifact, known as the City of Abaddon, the demigod who was known for his defenses. After having his entire family killed in a war, Abaddon created this city and covered it in his divine aura to make sure no one could hurt the people he wanted to protect. Even after his death, that aura stayed with the city, being absorbed in it. The city became a Newman artifact, known as the impenetrable City of Abaddon. The only reason the Holy Church can do nothing here is because of that. As long as I'm inside this city, they can't do anything. Even the head of Holy Church of Light himself can't kill me here. As long as I'm inside this city, I'm undefeatable. Lambard smiled. However, if I leave this city, I don't have that protection, so I rarely leave this place, and even if I do it secretly. If I go to the holy city myself, I won't have this advantage, and I won't be able to come back to this city if I'm caught there. He stretched his arms lazily. You have no idea how much the Holy Church of Light hates me. If they get me, my fate would be something that will scare even the fiercest. So yeah, I'll not leave this city and definitely not enter the holy city where that old man stays. An entire city as a Newman artifact? Gabriel asked. That sounded so incredulous. He had assumed that only small accessories were lumen artifacts, but an entire city. Heh, I know how impossible that sounds. Even I had a hard time believing it when I found out about this city. Fortunately, when I got to it, the city had no people living here. It was a barren city. The city might be here when I arrived, but I made it into what it is today. Why does this city only protect you then? If the entire city is a Numen, you can't hold it. Everyone who stays here is in contact with it, so does that mean it gives everyone the same protection it gives you? No, if it did, why do you think the people here would be scared of Lyra when she came flaunting her identity? Lambard rolled his eyes. He glared at Lyra. And you dare call me a show-off? It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Then how does it work? Gabriel inquired. Lambard opened his lips to answer but stopped. A frown appeared on his forehead. It seems we have more guests. The city sure is busy today. More guests. Gabriel gazed at Lyra. How could he know there were more people when he was sitting here? The city of Abandon is under the control of Lambard. He can see everything that happens here, Lyra explained. That's how he saw us coming as well. How else do you think he knew? If he's getting so serious, whoever arrived must be someone significant. Who is here? She asked Lambard. Someone I didn't expect to come here. Lambard scratched the back of his head. The head of the Church of Water has arrived. The strongest mage with the element of water in the entire world. And one of the 6 rulers of elements. Chapter 32-32. Gabriel versus the head of Church of Water. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I didn't expect that lady to come here. This is really surprising. Lambard stood up. Though I think I do know what she's here for. Gabriel, you want to accompany me? He glanced at the young man. I doubt you've ever seen a head of church before. It might be a good exposure since you're one of them as well, in a way. He can't come, Lyra chimed in. She might not be able to harm you in this place, but it's not the same for Gabriel. She can kill him if she realizes who he is, and I'm sure his aura will give away his identity. Heh, don't worry about it. Even she won't be able to sense his aura. Don't forget who you're standing with. This city is my domain. Here even the gods can't see someone's aura if I want to hide it. I'll hide his aura. Moreover, he already has the gloves to hide his mark, so I doubt it would be much of a problem. Come on, let the boy have some fun. But it's still dangerous. Lyra frowned. Even though the man said he was going to take care of everything, she still felt that it was dangerous for Gabriel to be alone with that lady and Lambard here. After thinking for a few seconds, she finally responded, Fine, I'll come with you as well. Since you can hide his aura, I'm sure you can hide mine as well. She hasn't seen me yet, so she won't know who I am if she can't sense my aura. That's fine by me. Not like it would matter even if she finds out who you are. Not like she can do anything to me. Lambard smirked, giving Lyra the permission to accompany him as well. The head of the Church of Water arrived at the entrance of Lambard's mansion. The young lady appeared as if she was only in her late 20s at best. Just based on her age, no one could have expected that she was the head of one of the most prestigious organizations. She was the head of Church of Water at such a young age and had just received the position last year itself. The young lady was dressed in a beautiful black shoulderless dress that wrapped tightly around her body, highlighting her curves. She had beautiful blue hair like the purest form of water. Her hair came down to her waist, covering her upper back, which was left exposed by the dress. Unlike her beautiful blue hair, her eyes appeared to be hazel, giving her a distinguished look. Her innocent-looking face was perfectly calm, not showing many expressions. My lady, are you sure we aren't wasting time by coming here? Accompanying the head of the church on this trip were the 2 head priestesses from the Church of Water, who had the highest authority in the church after her. They still didn't believe that what they heard about this place could be true. Who knows? But we can't take a chance, the young lady answered. Greetings to the three mages. Like before, the maid greeted the three as soon as they reached the castle, but she didn't give them water this time. Tell Lord Lambard that I'm here to meet him. He already knows you are here, the maid calmly responded. Please follow me inside. Ha! He knew we were coming. My lady, do you trust her? How could he have known? One of the head priestess asked the blue-haired woman in the lead. The young woman didn't answer. Instead, she followed the maid inside the castle with the others. The maid brought the three water mages to the end of the hallway. Surprisingly, at the end of the hallway, there wasn't a door like before. Instead, there were stairs that were going up. The maid started going up, followed by the mages. Lady Alora, welcome to the city of Abaddon. Lambard greeted the young lady in the lead. The two behind you must be Lady Joan and Lady Rui. The two head priestesses in the back grew stunned as they were called by their names. How did this person know our names? They wanted to ask how Lambard knew their names since it shouldn't have been possible. Unlike the head of the Church of Water Alora, they weren't that well known, especially regarding names. Greetings, Lord Lambard. It seems you know about me. Of course I do. Who wouldn't know the names of the 6 heads of churches of elements, Lambard casually answered. I suppose it does make sense that you know my name, but I'm still curious about something. How do you know the ones behind me? Lady Alora, I know their names because you told me their names yourself. I did. Alora stared at the man in confusion. But I don't recall ever telling you their names. Lambard simply smiled but didn't answer. Let me introduce you to a few more guests of mine. This is Gabriel. And that's Lady Lyra. The two came here just today. He introduced Gabriel and Lyra. Alora casually glanced at the people in the back. She couldn't find anything special about the two. She didn't believe any of the two were special enough for her to remember. She didn't even say a word to them in greetings. She just casually nodded. Lyra rolled her eyes, amazed at the arrogance of Alora. Lambard next introduced the 3 ladies to Gabriel and Lyra. Just like Alora didn't greet Lyra, Lyra also didn't greet Alora, which came across as rude from her side. She just nodded lazily as well. As for Gabriel, he just stood silent in the back, observing Alora. Lambard was hiding his aura, but he didn't hide the aura of Alora. Gabriel could see the aura of Alora, which was as vast and deep as the sea itself. Even though the young woman looked like she was an ordinary lady, the aura of her told a different story entirely. It was as if behind that innocent facade, there was enough strength to destroy an entire city if she wanted. So this of the level of the enemies I would need to face. The head of the Church of Light would be even stronger than her. You too, don't you have any manners on how you should greet Lady Alora? Rui called out to Lyra and Gabriel. It didn't matter if Alora didn't meet the 2 commoners like them properly, but when they were introduced, how dare these peasants ignore the one who was selected by the goddess of water herself? Ha! Hearing the sudden scolding, Gabriel came out of his thoughts. He was in disbelief that these people were scolding them for what they themselves did. Lyra was about to respond to these people in their own language, but before they could, Gabriel did it. He took the lead. He had been through hell because of people who considered themselves superior to him while hiding their hypocrisy. He couldn't help but feel the same hypocrisy here. He had been through hell, not so he could be scolded like this by some hypocrites. Moreover, since he wasn't looking for any favor from them, he didn't need to hold back. If you want respect, maybe you should learn to give the same respect first, Gabriel calmly stated. His eyes didn't have even a shred of fear. 33 Chapter 33 You are listening at novelfull.audio. As he talked, he didn't even glance at the lady who had spoken. Instead, his eyes rested on the head priestess who had just chided them. It was certainly not the wisest choice to offend the one who stood at the peak of this world when he wasn't even in the same league as her when it came to true strength, but Gabriel didn't care at the moment. In any case, he was going on a suicide mission soon after, so what was the need to be scared at this point? Moreover, with Lambard here, these three weren't going to attack him. This place was the stronghold of Lambard, who had promised to keep them safe, so whatever he said at the moment held no consequences. It wasn't as if he was going to meet the young head of Church of Water again. Both the head priestess were stunned to get such a sharp response from Gabriel. Even Elora herself was taken aback. No one dared to talk like that before her. Not only her but even Lyra was also surprised. Gabriel said precisely what she wanted to say. The two of them really were similar in some things. On the contrary, Lambard was more amused. He turned back, glancing at Gabriel. A smirk spread across his lips which the three ladies behind him couldn't see. This was fun for him. He did like the way Gabriel talked to them. Elora didn't know that Lyra and Gabriel didn't really need to give them any special respect. Just like her, the two of them were also the leaders of their individual element types. Even though they were all alone and didn't have hundreds of supporters, they were technically the head of the church as well. Lambard found this whole thing very amusing, and he could even guess what the reaction from the other side was going to be. Why don't you? Rui's face turned red in anger. Kid, you should really mind your language and consider who you're talking to. Exactly. Lady Elora owes you no respect. Who do you think you are to demand equal respect from her? Joan also asked. She went even as far as to call out her staff of water as if prepared to show Gabriel his place this instant. A powerful aura acted up on Gabriel, which placed pressure on his body to force him to his knees. Apologize this instant. Elora wanted to stop the ladies behind her, but she was too late. Before she could even speak anything, Joan already did it. The mighty aura of the head priestess wasn't harmful, but it did weigh heavily on Gabriel. If it were someone else in his place, he would have fallen to his knees already, unable to resist the aura, but what was the aura of a head priestess before the heir of Carrick and the holder of a holy grimoire? The black ring on his finger released an invisible aura that surrounded the body of Gabriel. The aura of his own was so powerful that it basically neglected the effect of the head priestess aura. Fortunately, it was just the aura released by the ring. He hadn't called out his grimoire, so the aura couldn't be sensed even by Elora, all thanks to Lambard's shroud. Joan was surprised to see Gabriel still standing perfectly calm, as if the aura had no effect on him. How could it be? How could a young man stay so calm and composed under the effect of her aura? This shouldn't have been possible. Just who was this person? Lambard also couldn't stand idle and watch the lady bully his guest in front of him. He also didn't want them to find out just how special Gabriel was. He finally took the lead. Young ladies, I would appreciate it if you don't try to bully my guests. This place is my home, not your church of water. As the head priest of light must have told everyone already, everyone who comes to this city is my guest. It doesn't matter how influential you are, I won't let you bully my other guests. Joan finally got a reason as to why Gabriel wasn't being affected. She believed it was because Lambard was giving him his protection. That made sense. She had heard stories about Lambard, so it did make sense that he could do that much. But they insulted us. We didn't start it, Ray chimed in. It doesn't matter. You're the first one who took action. Words should be answered with words. If you want to show your strength to those weaker than you, then I'll also be forced to show you some of what I'm capable of, Lambard casually stated. And I'm sure you won't like it if that happens. So please behave while you're in my city. He's right, Ray, Joan. You both should calm down. Not everyone needs to greet us. No need to be that offended over such a small matter. Elora agreed with Lambard. She had heard the stories about Lambard. He was a really chill person who didn't care about many things, but when he got angry, he didn't care how influential one was. As long as he was in the city, he was no less than a demigod. He had even gone against the head of Church of Light last time without a single care in the world, and he still managed to survive. She didn't want to create bad blood between the two sides over such a small matter. Especially since the reason they came here was something that couldn't be ignored. They couldn't allow them to be kicked out before achieving the goals. Ray couldn't believe Elora wasn't siding with her, but she also understood why. She probably didn't want to be kicked out of the city. But still, this didn't sit right with her. She glared at Gabriel, who had his focus on Elora. Unlike her two followers, the young lady was much better. She was more careful and considerate. He wondered if she was being real or if it was all just an act. Fine. I won't do it again, Ray lazily stated. Joan also agreed that she wouldn't target Gabriel. At least not as long as he was in the city. Good. Now that we finally have an understanding, let's sit and discuss what you're here for. I'm sure it must be something important that brought you here. Lambard smiled as he gestured for everyone to take a seat. Even though he knew why they were here, he wanted to hear from them directly. Elora sat on a couch, and the two head priestesses stood behind her, not taking a seat. You know, you can take a seat too. Lambard stated. Both the ladies rejected. They followed hierarchy all too well. Only the two leaders should sit when discussing. Unlike them, Gabriel and Lyra sat down without Lambard having to insist. Gabriel stood on Lambard's left, and Lyra sat on his right. Seeing their actions, the faces of the head priestess also twitched, but they didn't react. So, what brought you here? How can I help you, Lady Elora? I came here for two reasons, the young lady stated calmly. The first reason being that I want the Ring of Apophis from you. 34 Chapter 34 You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first reason being that I want the Ring of Apophis from you, the young lady stated, surprising even Lambard. It wasn't what he expected. She was here for the Ring of Apophis. Why was everyone coming here for that thing at the same time? Lyra was glad that they got the ring already. It seemed they were right on time. If they had arrived an hour later, the ring would have been with Lambard, and he might have given it to the young lady. Now that he had promised them, there was no way he could take the ring back before 7 days of getting into the royal city ran out. I'm willing to pay you as much money as you need for the Ring of Apophis. The young lady stated. Lady Elora, if you think that money can sway me, you're wrong. I'm the one who spends money to get Newmans, not the one who spends Newmans to get money. I'm sorry, but I can't help you with this. What else do you need? What if I give you something that's not money? Elora inquired. And what might that be? Lambard asked, curious. I doubt you can offer me anything that can make me change my mind. Even though Lambard had already given the Ring of Apophis to Gabriel, that was only for a little over a week. After that, he was going to have the ring back, so he certainly could offer the ring to the young lady, but to exchange a Newman, he didn't think it was worth it. He quite liked the ring, after all. Elora glanced at Gabriel and Lyra. You should send them out before we can discuss further. I don't want to mention things that commoners shouldn't know. Don't worry about them. They are the suppliers who work for me by location Newmans. They know more about them than anyone. You can talk about anything, Lambard swiftly lied. The worries of Elora were fair since most people weren't allowed to know about Newmans and many such things, but he had already told Gabriel and Lyra about such things. He didn't care if they heard more since they were also important players in the grand scheme of things. Fine. What if I offer you a letter that was written by the goddess of thunder herself to the goddess of water? Elora smiled. I heard you're really interested in literature from the times of gods. If you find me a ring, the letter will be yours. A letter personally written by a god. Lambard straightened up as soon as he heard about the offer. So far, he had only dealt with things regarding demigods. Even the things he knew about the gods were through things written by demigods. He never had direct interaction with anything written by the gods themselves. If he was truly being offered something like that, then the offer was really worth it. Moreover, a letter written by a god might contain their true essence as well. It wasn't an offer he could refuse. Also, since the letter was written to the goddess of water, it might tell something about the relationship between the two gods at that time. If anyone could have a letter written to the goddess of water, it was going to be the Holy Church of Water, so he didn't doubt its authenticity either. Why do you want to offer that in exchange for the ring of Apophis? We do have a couple of letters that were written to the goddess of water by the goddess of lightning, so I can certainly offer you one for what I need. But you don't have any, so you will certainly need it. Do you accept the offer? Even though Elora asked this question, she was already sure that the answer was yes. She could see on his face that he truly wanted the letter. Lambard subtly glanced at the end on Gabriel's hands as he seriously thought about it. A mission that was supposed to fail, or a confirmed letter written by a god. Those were his two choices in exchange for the ring. Even though he had already promised Gabriel, he still thought about this offer seriously. Why do you want the ring of Apophis? He asked Elora. What do you want to use it for? I want to use it for myself. Whenever I leave the church, almost everyone recognizes me. I don't appreciate such attention. I want to use the ring to disguise myself, so I can leave freely without attracting gazes. So I need it just for basic use. Fine. I'll offer you the ring of Apophis for 1 month in exchange for the letter. You can use the ring however you want in that month. That's the deal. I can't hand over the ring permanently under any condition since I quite like it. But I'm sure 1 month should be enough for you to experience what you want to. 1 month is too little. I want the ring for a lifetime. I'm sorry, that's not happening. Even though I want the letter, I'm not going to give up my ring forever. I've spent a lot of effort to get the ring. Moreover, it's not like you're losing anything by offering me a letter. You have many such letters, and you're only offering one. If I had many such rings, I would have given 1 ring to you for a lifetime as well, but I don't. I'm afraid it's not an equal deal. You are giving something that you can afford to lose since you have more of it. I'm giving something which I can't afford to lose. I'm being really generous by offering you 1 month. I've offered a week for things much more precious. Lambard stood firmly on his offer, not taking a single step back. The way Lambard was dealing, Lyra couldn't believe it. He had promised the ring to them, and now he was negotiating to take the ring from them and give it to someone else. She couldn't accept this. 35 Chapter 35 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lambard was adamant about not offering the ring for more than a month. No matter what Elora said, he didn't budge. Ultimately, Elora had no choice but to go along with the seal. Even though it was only for a month, it was better than not having the ring at all. 1 month of freedom was better than nothing. Ever since she joined the Church of Water at the age of 19, she had been training only. Most of her life in the church went in training as she tried to master her element of water. She didn't even leave the Church of Water to explore other places. For 8 years straight, she stayed on the premises of the church, never taking even a single step out. Throughout the years, she mastered all the skills and even got promoted a few times until she became a head priestess at the age of 20.5 only. That was the highest post someone could be promoted to inside the Church of Elements since only one person was above a head priestess. It was the head of the church. No one could be promoted to the head of a Church of Elements since the Holy Grimoire itself selected someone after the death of the last owner. Just a few years ago, the last head of the Church of Water died a few days after coming back from an exploration. As the head priestesses, the ladies were given priority attempts on the grimoire before anyone else could have been tried. All the head priestesses were brought to the chamber where the Holy Book of Water was kept after the death of the last head. Not many people actually thought that the book was easily going to select someone. They thought they needed to spend decades to find the next rightful heir, but they were wrong. The Book of Water flew on its own to the youngest head priestess. Elora was selected as the head of the Church of Water. She also received the control of the Church of Water along with the ancient staff of water. The news of that spread like fire everywhere. Almost the entire world knew about her, since the position of a Lord of Element wasn't something that anyone could get. Only after becoming the head of the Church of Water did Elora realize how her life had changed. Throughout the last few years, whenever she left the church for anything, she was often recognized even when she didn't want to. She wanted to find a solution for her problem. That's when she was informed about a treasure that was held by Lambard. She wanted that treasure for a lifetime, but she really underestimated Lambard, it seemed. Fine. I'll take the ring for 1 month. Give the ring to me. Elora reached out her hand toward Lambard. Lambard smiled as he glanced at Lyra, who seemed really upset. I'm sorry, but you'll have to wait a couple of weeks for the ring. As soon as it's available, I'll send an envoy to the church with the ring. You can give the letter to my envoy at that time. Lambard wanted the letter, but he also realized that breaking his promise wasn't a wise decision at this point. He might have broken the promise if it was only Lyra, but there was also Gabriel in the mix. There were just too many factors at play, and he didn't want to offend one side or the other. He knew these were chaotic waters, and he wanted to be neutral at this point. May I ask why you can't give us the ring this instant? If it's about the letter, I did bring it with me. I'm sorry, Lady Elora. But I have some prior engagements which need the ring to be with me. I should be able to give the ring to you after a few weeks. Fine. We will wait for a few weeks. Elora didn't appear to be in any hurry to get the ring. It was going to be with her temporarily, after all. So she was fine if it was delayed by a few weeks. Deal it is then, Lambard affirmed. That's one thing covered, but you said there was another reason you came here as we. May I ask what it was? The other reason is because I want the map of the City of Ruins that you have. I got some information that it's going to be available for the auction that's about to happen in the city. I want to buy it from you, and don't tell me you can't sell it for money since you've put it up for auction. Of course, I can sell that for money. It's just a map. It's not like it's a Newman. Lambard smiled. He waved his fingers. A small portal appeared before him. The Ring of Damien helps me store some things. Seeing the surprised faces of everyone, Lambard explained as he placed his hand inside the portal. Bringing his hand out, he revealed a pale yellow scroll. I believe this is what you're looking for. That's right. How much money do you need for it? I'm sorry, young lady, but I must refuse you once again. As you stated, this map is already up for auction. I can't sell it before the auction. If you want the map, you should probably get a room in the city and wait for the auction tomorrow. Lambard knew the Church of Water had a lot of money, and he could literally ask for any amount he wanted, but he was also a man of principles in certain aspects, and one of those aspects was the auctions he often conducted. I know it's up for auction, but I can't wait for that. I don't believe there is anyone who can bid more for it than me, so just give it to me. 300,000 gold coins. How about it? Lady Elora, I doubt you know what you're speaking. You think you're the only one interested in this map. Lambard shrugged. The offer to sell this map directly. I've received this offer from many sides. So far, I've received a letter from the Church of Lightning, Church of Earth, Church of Nature, and Church of Wind. Only Holy Church of Light hasn't shown any interest in it yet. I'm giving you the same answer that I gave to all those letters. If you want to buy this map, get it in the auction. If I didn't break my rule with them, how could I break the rule with you? Rui brought her lips closer to Elora's ears and whispered something in her ears, seeing the man refuse. Lady Elora, this man has the map in his hands. The rings are also in his hands. Why are we even listening to his arrogant refusals? Let's just take him down and snatch everything. We can get more than one ring from him. Rui made sure to keep her voice as low as she could so Lambard had no chance of hearing. Unfortunately for them, this was the domain of Lambard. He heard everything. He found this discussion quite amusing but not unexpected. Author note. Create your own character. Create a character, name, personality, element, history etc., in the comments that you want in the Academy of Elements when Gabriel gets there, or vote for characters created by other readers if any by liking comments. The character you create or like might become reality and might be an important part of the story. 36 Chapter 36 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Despite knowing what they were talking about, he acted ignorant. Don't be an idiot. Elora scolded the young lady right there and didn't keep her voice down. Even though Lambard acted as if he hadn't heard their discussion, Elora knew that he heard everything. Lambard was the person who even knew their names, which no one here should have known. The only time she had addressed them by their names was when they were alone inside the city. If he managed to know even that, it meant that Lambard could hear things that happened in the city. If he heard something that happened so far away, it wasn't impossible that he couldn't hear what was happening here. She believed that Lambard heard the suggestion of Rui, and yet he wasn't fazed as if this wasn't a threat to him. Elora also knew the stories about this city and what happened when the Church of Light tried to bring it down. She didn't want to test that theory. It was better to just wait for the auction and bid through it. Even though it wasted a day of theirs, it was better than picking a fight with Lambard in his own home. Outside the city, it was a different matter, but inside the city, it was impossible to defeat him from what she heard. Moreover, Rui was literally suggesting theft and robbery. They were from the Holy Church of Water. A theft wasn't something that they could do. Even if they succeeded, this was going to destroy their reputation if it came out that the head of the Church of Water herself tried to steal someone else's belongings. Is something the matter, Lady Elora? Lambard asked innocently. Nothing. Just some stupid suggestion that I was given. Don't worry about it. If you've already decided that you can't sell that map outside of auction, we will wait for the auction in that case. Elora took care of the situation before it could deteriorate too much. Even Lambard was impressed at her actions. Even though she was young, she was more clever than the other two who followed her. She made the right decision at the right time. She also wasn't stubborn or adamant on something. Unlike the head priestesses, she didn't look for a fight. I think it's time we take our leave. We also need to look for a hotel. We will see you at the auction. Elora stood up gracefully before she left. The two head priestesses followed her after taking a subtle glance at Lambard. They didn't know why Elora didn't go with their plan, but they just went with it. Elora stopped right at the exit. Lord Lambard, as I told you before, that map will be mine. I don't care who bids for it. It's just too important for me, so please keep that with care. Lambard kept the scroll back inside the portal, which closed. This map is important for many, it seems. After what happened to the last head of the Church of Water, everyone has been looking for this map, not just you. I think it's not going to be that easy for you to buy it. We will see that. Elora calmly departed without arguing, but when she was worried to some extent. If what Lambard said was true, that meant there were many sides that wanted the map, and they were all going to be in the auction. She didn't know how high the bid was going to go, but she knew she couldn't let this map go. This map contained the secret as to what happened with the last head of the Church of Water. At any cost, she needed to get this map. After Elora left, Gabriel somewhat relaxed. I really thought you were going to throw us off a cliff to give this ring to Elora. Thank you for not breaking your promise. Lyra thanked Lambard for not taking the ring. That gave them a chance to finish their quest in the capital city. Don't worry about it. I promised you the ring for a week inside the royal city. And counting the travel time, you have the ring for a total of 2 weeks. I can wait 2 weeks to get my hands on the letters. I'm really curious what the letter was about. Just what kind of ancient essence would be contained in that letter? If there is a decent amount of essence in the letter, I might be able to know some secrets with the help of Eye of Osiris that you both are supposed to get for me. So you better succeed. I'm making a really big investment on you with this ring. We don't intend to fail either. Our failure only means the loss of the Eye of Osiris for you. But for us, it meant our death, Gabriel explained. So I don't plan on failing. That aside, what was that map of City of Ruins that all the churches are interested in? Why is that? Gabriel was still wondering about the map. The lady was really eager to get it, and so were other churches. The map didn't seem like anything ordinary. It's a long story. Lambard scratched the back of his head. In short, the City of Ruins is none other than the City of Gods. It's the city where the 7 gods used to live once upon a time, as I told you before. Now there's nothing left in that place. Just ruins of an era long forgotten. That's also considered one of the most dangerous places in the world. No matter who went there, they didn't return. A few years ago, the head of the Church of Water came to me. She bought a map from me. A copy similar to what I'm putting up for auction. She left the church to explore that place since she wanted to find the origins of the gods. She was also the first person to return alive from that place, but she wasn't the same as before when she came back. She was completely blank. Her eyes didn't have any focus on what I heard, and she couldn't speak. It was as if she had seen something she shouldn't have. Within a few days of return, she died. After her, Alora was selected by the Holy Grimoire of Water, and you know the rest. Alora probably wants to go to the city as well to uncover what her predecessor saw there. She's not the only one though. The other churches are also interested in that place, so they also want to go there to explore that place, but without the map that I have, it's impossible for them to know what places to avoid. If it's just a map, can't you make more clones of it and give one to all the churches at a heavy price? I wish I could, but the maps can't be cloned anymore. I don't know what it's about the maps, but they just can't be. I've tried many times only to fail. It's like you see the map one moment, and when you try to draw it on another paper, you just forget what you saw entirely. There only exist 3 such maps. One was sold last time, which was left behind in the City of Ruins by Alora's predecessor. I have 2 left. I want one for myself, and I'm selling the other through auction. A man needs money after all. Do you want to bid on the map as well? Lambard asked Gabriel and Alora. We have more important things to do than such explorations in death zones. I'll leave that to the other heads. It would be great if more of them died in the exploration. Would make things easier for us, Lyra refused. Anyway, we should also leave. Best of luck with your auction. 37 Chapter 37 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lambard didn't stop the 2 youngsters from leaving. He had just casually asked them if they wanted to take part in the auction, but he knew that it was impossible for them. The 2 of them might be in the same position in the hierarchy as the other church leaders, but unlike the others, they didn't have money. The 2 of them didn't have the massive wealth that was amassed by the churches of elements. It was useless to stop them since it could just waste their own time. Moreover, the faster they left, the faster he could get the Eye of Osiris in his arsenal. Lambard bid the 2 youngsters farewell, but he didn't escort them out personally. The task was given to the maid that had escorted them inside. The maid took the 2 youngsters to the exit of the castle, where the horse was already waiting for the 2. Gabriel climbed on the horse first before helping Lyra up. Taking one last glance at the mysterious castle, he departed. In another part of the city, Alora had already found a hotel. She even paid in advance for a few days as she booked 3 rooms. All 3 ladies went to individual rooms. Alora went straight to a shower in her room. As for Joan, she dropped onto her bed, seemingly somewhat lazy. As for Rui, she went to the balcony to observe the chaotic city. So many illegal things are happening in this place, but no one can do anything. All because of that Lambard. No wonder he is arrogant. Through the balcony, she could see many shops selling illegal items. If it were up to her, she would have destroyed all these shops. Unfortunately, Elora had issued some strict instructions to her that she wasn't allowed to do anything in this city that could offend Lambard. They needed the map from Lambard, and they needed to be like guests. For the next few days, they couldn't get themselves in any conflict here. Even though Rui believed that some of Elora's decisions were a dark blot on the prestige of the Church of Water since it made them look like cowards, she couldn't do anything against it. Elora was selected by the Holy Grimoire instead of her. Why did the Holy Grimoire have to select that coward Elora when I was there as well? I was in the church longer than her. I've been the most senior, and I wasn't a coward like her. Yet, right before my eyes, the Grimoire selected her. I can't understand what it saw in that girl. Rui let out a tired sigh. She was really missing the last head of the Church of Water. She was nothing like Elora. She was more ruthless and stubborn. She wasn't scared of anything. She even chose to go alone to the City of Ruins. Under her, no one dared to disrespect the Church of Water, but under Elora, even 2 kids disrespected their authority. She really hated the fact that she couldn't do anything. Even though Rui couldn't hurt Lyra and Gabriel here, she made up her mind that whenever she was going to see the 2 of them in the future, she was going to teach them what it meant to know their place. Those 2. Rui was lost in her own thoughts as she stood on the balcony when she noticed a horse passing from right before the hotel she was staying in. As for the people who sat on the horse, they were none other than the 2 arrogant kids. She looked in the direction they were going in, realizing that they were going to the exit. A clever smirk spread across her lips. So you're leaving this place. What perfect timing. I can't teach you a lesson inside this city, but who says I can't do the same outside? Let the games begin. Rui raised her right hand, casting a formation above her. A staff flew out of the formation to land in her hands. Wings of Purity. Using the staff, she cast a spell. A mystical blue light surrounded the staff that was held by her, and the same light covered all her body as well. Before long, 2 beautiful wings appeared behind her back. Unlike the mages of winds, who could fly from the start, the mages of water couldn't fly that easily. They could only master a wing spell when they became capable of using high-tier spells, which Rui could use. Rui's body started rising in the air as she followed Gabriel and Lyra without informing Elora and Joan. Back at the central castle, Lambard was sitting on his throne with a cup of tea in his hand. The maid stood right beside Lambard. Sir, do you believe the Church of Light will also send someone to bid? I doubt they will, Lambard answered. They hate this city as this city contains their shameful secret. They won't come here even for the map of the City of Ruins. Still, there's a possibility that they might send someone who isn't a member of the Church of Light to bid for them. It doesn't matter in any case. More participants mean higher bidding. It's just more money for us, so I won't mind even if the Church of Light sends someone. He took another sip. You really do have some great talent in making tea. I'm glad you like it, Master. Lambard glanced toward the window abruptly. Is something the matter, Master? I guess you can say that. One of our guests from the Church of Water is following Gabriel and Lyra. I don't think she has any good intentions. Should I go and stop her? The young maid asked grimly. No need. As I told you, I only enforce my laws in the city. Outside the city, I don't interfere. If she fights here, I'll send you to take her down. But if all 3 of them leave the city, then it'll all be on them. I won't do anything no matter who is killed. But Master, don't you have use for those 2? If they died, who would bring the Eye of Osiris for you? If the two rulers of elements can't face one head priestess of water, then I don't think they were capable of getting Eye of Osiris in the first place. The head priestess of water is nothing before what they might face in the royal city. And in that place, Gabriel is going to be alone as well, Lambert explained as he took another sip of his tea. This can be their first test. If they pass, then good. If they fail, then they aren't worth my time at all. The ring will get back to me, and I'll give it to Elora for a month. 38 Chapter 38 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gabriel left the city, going through the doors he came in from. Those two guards. As Gabriel left the city, he noticed two guards standing at the entrance, which surprised him. The two guards were none other than the guards that Lyra had killed when she entered the city. They were completely identical. How are they still alive? Don't worry about them. They aren't real humans. Those two are also Numens, albeit one's made by one of the weakest demigods, the Puppet Master. Despite being Numens, they aren't any special. They are no stronger than an ordinary human. The only thing that's special about them is that they can heal themselves, but even that takes a lot of time. So whenever you want to get in, just kill the two and enter. If they are so weak, why would Lambert use them as guards? Only Lambert can know the answer to that question. Even I believe it's useless to keep them here. Anyone can kill them easily and get inside. Then again, it's not like anyone can do anything inside the city itself. I guess he just used them here since he wanted to find some uses for these useless puppets. The Numens. They certainly seem to be amazing. Just how many Numens are there in this world? Gabriel inquired. Well, no one knows exactly how many there are since only a few have been discovered so far. I did hear there were around 100 demigods in existence, Lyra explained. However, there were also some powerful demigods who created more than one Numen artifact. Based on that assumption, there might be a couple hundred Numens in existence. And how many have been discovered? Gabriel asked, taking a subtle glance at the ring of Apophis. The answer to that question is also unknown. As you can guess, not many people come forward and declare that they found a Numen artifact in fear of being killed. Only Lambert is an exception, but that's because he has the protection of his city. Do you know how many are with Lambert then? No one knows the exact number, but if I were to guess, I'm sure there are more than 30 at least. Even with his 30 artifacts, he can't come out of the city with confidence to survive. With the kind of enemies he has made, I doubt he can survive leaving the city without hiding. The Numens came from the demigods, while the grimoires came from the gods themselves. In a battle between the god of light and 30 average demigods, I'm sure you can guess who would win. That's why Lambert is always looking for more artifacts, especially the highest-ranking Numens like the city he possesses. The Numens of the strongest demigods are yet to come to light, and those are what Lambert wants. Who knows where they will be? Anyway, I'm sure this is far enough. You can stop here, Lyra chimed in. Gabriel observed his surroundings. They were in the middle of barren land, far away from any city. Why was Lyra asking him to stop here? Why here? So we could greet the guest who has been following us for quite some time, Lyra answered. I'm sure this is far enough to use my grimoire without attracting too much attention. Following. Gabriel stopped the horse. He glanced back but couldn't find anyone. Look above. Lyra reminded him as she got off the horse. Gabriel looked up, only to find Rui floating above them. It seems like you knew I was following you. That's very perceptive of you. Your stench isn't something that can be ignored, can it? Lyra lazily stated. You're still as talkative as before. It seems like you never learn. That's understandable though. Who will be arrogant of not two dark mages, am I right? Rui landed before Lyra, holding her staff firmly. For some reason, I can't sense your aura, she gazed at Gabriel, but since you're with her and also hiding your hands, it is easy to guess that you're also a dark mage. Right. Gabriel didn't respond. He was slightly pleased though. Rui couldn't sense his dark aura, that meant the gloves that came with the attire and the staff were working and hiding his dark aura. Even the head priestess couldn't sense his dark element aura even though Lambard wasn't here to hide his aura. This was good news since it meant he had a higher chance of staying hidden in the royal city. As long as he didn't use his dark spells or grimoire, even a higher-ranked mage couldn't sense him. The only thing which he was still curious about was if the gloves could fool a head of church as well. He could have tested that if Lambard hadn't hidden his aura before Alora. He realized that he had missed an opportunity there. You can hide your aura, but too bad your partner can't. I was pleasantly surprised when I sensed that aura after leaving the city. With this, I now have complete authority to kill you. I won't even have to hide it. After killing you, I'll drag your body back to Alora. The mocking tone of Rui continued as she laughed at Lyra, who failed to even hide her aura. Gabriel scratched the back of his head, amused at this idiot. He knew that Lyra was more skilled at hiding her aura. If her aura could be sensed after she left the city, that meant she wanted Rui to find out who she was, so she continued chasing them. It wasn't Lyra who had fallen into Rui's trap while making a mistake. Instead, it was Rui who had fallen for the intentional mistake of Lyra, and now here she was, all alone before Lyra. She thought she was too smart, but Lyra so easily played with her. The only question that now remained was if Lyra was actually capable of defeating a head priestess of water. Lyra didn't have the ancestral staff, so her spells were weaker after all. Unlike Lyra, Rui already had her staff out. Then again, Rui didn't possess the holy grimoire of water. So both ladies had some kind of disadvantage and an advantage over the other. Should I help you? Gabriel asked Lyra. Even though he didn't have too many spells, he had some which could be helpful in battles. 39 Chapter 39 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gabriel knew he was slightly weak when it came to spells, but he was also informed that the spells he could access were powerful, especially when accompanied by his ancestral staff. You don't need to waste your energy. If you use your staff to cast a spell, it will attract too much unnecessary attention, which our battle won't. It's not the time for you to come before the world like that. Lyra rejected the offer of help right away for the safety of Gabriel. She focused back on Rui, who appeared to be laughing. She couldn't believe two kids were deciding to fight her instead of falling straight to her feet, begging for their lives. All the churches did the right thing by shredding your Church of Darkness from the core itself. I just wish I could have been a part of that battle itself. I heard the agonized screams of the dark mages were so sweet to hear. I couldn't hear it then, but I can now. Isn't that great? The taunting words of Rui didn't affect Gabriel since he really didn't care for the Church of Darkness. He wasn't related to it, and he didn't know anyone from the Church of Darkness who had died, but there was someone who was heavily affected by these words. Lyra closed her eyes as she took a deep breath. Her pendant started shining in a mysterious dark light as if answering to her emotions. You're right. The agonizing screams of the dark mages when you murdered them. I'm sure people like you would have enjoyed it. Even though you call the dark mages monsters, in reality, you're the monsters. So I wouldn't put it past you to enjoy the death and destruction you cause. But did you forget one thing? To kill a few hundred mages of darkness, you brought thousands of mages of all element churches united. If you think that's something worth being proud of, then no one can be more pitiful than you. Each mage of darkness fought tens of you before falling. Your side had more losses than the Church of Darkness had total members. 5 heads of elemental churches. 5 of your leaders had to fight one of ours. 5 of yours murdered one of ours. Did you forget it? Or do you only selectively remember history? You all weren't the brave warriors that you portray yourself in the history books. You were all cowards. You were all a mob. A pack of coyotes that attacked a tiger and managed to win. Death. Murders. Mob. Rui chuckled. It's only a murder when you kill innocents. When you kill demons, it's not murder but extermination. She further continued, of course you'll need more people for extermination to save some time. We exterminated all the insects to make this world a better place. Unfortunately, some insects survived. It's fine, I'll clear them now that I'm here. Can't leave everything to the Holy Church of Light, can we? Extermination. Lyra shook her head, gazing at the blue-haired lady. You will regret your words in 2 minutes as you die if you don't run. Rui went blank in response before bursting into laughter. You really do know how to make a joke. Let me see how you'll make me regret my words in 2 minutes. I swear to the goddess of water that I won't run. In her arrogance, Rui once again fell straight into the trap of Lyra. Lyra didn't want Rui to run and inform Elora when she called out her grimoire. That's why she taunted her in such a manner where she was forced to take an oath that she wasn't going to run. If she couldn't run, then she couldn't go and inform her. Gabriel couldn't help but shake his head. It appeared to be too easy to fool Rui. She kept falling into one trap after another, all because she didn't take them seriously. She thought that these two were just stupid arrogant kids since they were so young. She hadn't expected that both of them were owners of a holy grimoire just like Elora. Elora was younger than Rui, yet she was stronger because her spells were further boosted by her grimoire and the ancestral staff. Even if the two used the same spell, it was clear which side was going to have a more powerful attack. Because of the grimoire, the experience became somewhat insignificant as the distance between the strength was messed up. Moreover, Lyra wasn't a new mage either. She was more experienced than Gabriel since she had lived with the grimoire for a long time. I've wasted enough of my time on you two already. It's time you die. Rui tapped her staff on the ground firmly. Wave of destruction. Following her command, the ground started trembling as it split apart a few hundred meters behind Rui in a straight horizontal line. From the massive split in the ground came water. Thousands of cusecs of water came out of the split ground, creating a gigantic tsunami behind Rui. It all happened within a few seconds of the spell being cast as a tsunami advanced toward Lyra. The tsunami appeared to have enough strength to destroy an entire town easily, yet there were only 2 targets for the tsunami this time. Gabriel gazed at the 1,000 feet tall waves of the tsunami that was advancing toward him. The wave appeared to have enough strength to drown both of them. Imprison of the Tainted. Rui didn't stop even now as she cast another spell simultaneously. A wall made of water appeared all around Lyra and Gabriel, surrounding them. The top was also covered in water. It was as if Lyra and Gabriel were trapped in the prison of water, but it wasn't ordinary water either. The walls were made of the purifying water, also known as the holy water. This was also one of the reasons that the Church of Water played an essential role in the destruction of the Church of Darkness, since they could use the holy water in spells. It wasn't impossible for a mage of darkness to pass through the holy water barrier, but whenever they did, they were temporarily weakened, unable to use any spells. Since Rui didn't want Lyra to escape through air, she used the prison of damned to keep them in place. If Lyra tried to fly through the prison of the damned, she was going to come crashing to the ground. The tsunami was going to destroy them if they did anything, but it was also going to destroy them if they did nothing. 40 Chapter 40 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back in the hotel in the city of Abaddon, Elora came out after showering and decided to check out the city itself. Even though there were many illegal things in the city, it still was worth roaming around the city since they weren't going to get an opportunity like that every other day. She left her room and walked to Joan's room, knocking. Joan had just gone to sleep only to be woken up by a knock on the door. She rolled off the bed and stood on the ground, walking to the door. Lady Elora, do you need something? I wanted to go out. I was wondering if you would like to accompany me. Ah, sure. Just give me a few minutes. I'll be right out. Elora walked to the room of Rui and knocked as well, but this time there was no response. She kept knocking for a few minutes, but no response came. By now, even Joan came out of her room, prepared for leaving. She saw Elora knocking on the door once again. I didn't know Rui was such a deep sleeper, Elora wondered. She isn't. I've known her. She's a really light sleeper. She should have responded by now, Joan chimed in. Maybe she isn't in the room. The room is locked from the inside. Also, she hates this city. I doubt she wouldn't left alone. Elora pointed. I know what's the problem. She must be angry since I didn't support her before Lambard. She let out a sigh. She should have understood that I had to do it to maintain some peace. We couldn't afford a battle in this city. Elora knocked once again. Rui, I know you're inside. Open the door, I need to talk to you. Rui, it's important. Open the door. Elora kept calling out, only to be greeted by silence in response. Rui, this is an order. Open the door this instant. Are you defying an order? Even now, the door didn't open, which really upset Elora. Fine. I'll open it myself. We will pay the damages to the hotel. Elora clenched her fist. Blessing of the goddess. She chanted. The spell not only strengthened her body but also covered her hands with a thin layer of water as a shield for protection. Elora punched the door right where the lock was supposed to be. Her fist, supported by brute strength, penetrated through the door, destroying the lock. Elora pulled her hand back, which didn't have a single scratch. Joan, keep a few gold coins ready for this hotel owner. That should cover a door and more. I already did. We will give it to him later. Good. Elora pushed the door open and entered the room. Rui, why weren't you answering? I know you're angry, but that doesn't give you an excuse to ignore a direct command. Elora expected to find Rui in the room, but this place was completely empty, which stunned her. Check the bathroom, she instructed Joan. Joan checked the bathroom. It's empty as well. So she really wasn't in the room, but then again, why would the door be locked from inside? Unless. Elora noticed the door to the balcony, which was open. Unless Rui left through the balcony. She walked to the balcony with Joan. Why did she leave from the balcony when she could have left from the door? The only way this would be justified was if she was in a hurry and couldn't take the long route, but if she wanted to explore the city, what's the hurry? Joan also couldn't understand what reason Rui could have, but her questions made Elora realize something. That's right. The only reason someone would jump out of here instead of going through the door is if they were in a hurry, but hurrying to leave this room doesn't make sense, does it? That leaves only one possibility. What possibility? Joan asked, still unable to decipher. The possibility that she didn't go to see the city but went after someone and couldn't wait. If I'm not wrong, she probably saw the two people from Lambard's mansion. That idiot will certainly think of attacking them if she saw them leaving the city, since she wouldn't ignore my command of not attacking anyone here. Arg, why is she so stubborn? We need to stop her before she kills people who work for Lambard. If they die and he finds out, he would never let us participate in the auction. Well, he already knows. Lambard sat in his room, able to hear everything that Elora was saying. Unfortunately, she couldn't hear what he was saying. Elora flew to the exit as well, followed by Joan. I wonder how the battle is going so far. If Elora gets there, she might be too troublesome for Lyra and Gabriel to handle. It'll be more than just a test for them at that point. Should I really help them? Do I have no other choice? Then again, if I help them, it would be breaking my own rules. Lambard's own thoughts were so complicated that he lost himself in them. On the other hand, Elora had already left the city. After a long time, Lambard decided that he really needed to take some action. He was fine with Lyra fighting with Rui since that was a battle of equals in strength. It became a battle of skills, but with Elora and Joan in the mix, it was going to be a massacre. Master, should I go to help now? A feminine voice came from the back as a maid appeared like a ghost behind Lambard. Yeah. It might create some problems with the Church of Water, but then again, when was I scared of offending a church? Lambard casually smiled. Go there and observe. Don't interfere if they don't need help, but if they do, help them and bring them back to the city. I'll handle the rest. As you wish, master. The maid disappeared into thin air. Elora flew straight. Since there was only one route leaving the city, she didn't need to make any choices about direction. Before long, she finally got the sight of Rui. However, what she saw made her lips part in disbelief as to what she was seeing. She increased her speed.